The first time a Premier League defender hears the name Viktor Gyökeres, it doesn't sound terrifying. It doesn't come with fireworks or global hype. There are no viral stepovers, no luxury brand aura, no teenage wonder kid headlines. But the first time a defender actually faces him, everything changes. The shoulder-to-shoulder duel that feels routine suddenly turns into panic. The foot race that should be safe becomes a losing battle. The clearance that should relieve pressure turns into a mistake. And in that split second, a realization hits hard. This is not a normal striker. This is a problem. This is a nightmare. Gyökeres doesn't announce himself with flair. He announces himself with force, with relentless movement, with the kind of hunger that doesn't fade after one sprint or one tackle. He keeps coming, again and again. And by the time the final whistle blows, defenders don't just feel beaten, they feel exhausted, exposed, and mentally drained. This is the story of why Viktor Gyökeres is one of the most dangerous forwards modern English football is not ready for. A striker built in silence, sharpened in struggle, and unleashed with ruthless efficiency. A player whose rise wasn't fast, but whose impact is explosive. And if he steps onto Premier League grass, defenders won't be asking who he is. They'll be asking how to stop him, and whether it's even possible. Gyökeres' story doesn't begin with privilege or instant stardom. It begins in Sweden, far from the glamour of Europe's biggest leagues, where football is learned the hard way. Cold pitches, physical games, and little room for flair. From early on, his style was shaped by reality. You fight for space or you disappear. You run or you're replaced. He wasn't the most technical kid. He wasn't the most hyped. But he was strong, relentless, and obsessed with improving. When he moved to England as a young player, the dream was clear, but the road was brutal. Training sessions were faster. Defenders were stronger. Mistakes were punished instantly. For many young players, this is where confidence dies. For Gyökeres, this is where it hardened. At Brighton and Hove Albion, opportunities were limited. The Premier League spotlight was distant. Loan spells followed, each one a test of character. In lower leagues, there are no excuses. Pitches are rough, matches are physical. Defenders don't care about your potential. They care about stopping you. And Gyökeres learned how to survive. He learned how to shield the ball under pressure, how to turn defenders using strength rather than tricks, how to keep running when legs burn and lungs scream. These were not glamorous years, but they were essential. Everything changed at Coventry City. This is where Gyökeres stopped being a project and became a weapon. In the Championship, a league many underestimate, he evolved into a complete forward. Goals came, but more importantly, fear followed. Defenders quickly learned that marking him alone was dangerous. He could hold the ball with his back to goal like a classic number 9, then spin and attack space like a winger. He pressed center backs relentlessly, forcing mistakes. He ran channels with the intensity of a player possessed. And once he found confidence, there was no stopping the momentum. Matches stopped being about whether Gyökeres would impact the game. They became about how much damage he would do. What makes Gyökeres truly terrifying for Premier League defenders is not one single trait. It's the combination. He is powerful without being slow, fast without being fragile, technical without being flashy. His acceleration over short distances is devastating, especially for defenders who rely on positioning rather than pace. One wrong step and he's gone. One mistimed tackle and he's powering through contact. He doesn't avoid physical duels, he invites them. And that changes everything. Defenders are used to strikers who want space or service. Gyökeres creates chaos on his own. His movement is another silent killer. He doesn't drift aimlessly. Every run has purpose. When defenders step up, he spins in behind. When they drop deep, he comes short and drags them out of position. This constant decision-making pressure is exhausting. Over 90 minutes, concentration slips. And Gyökeres only needs one moment, one half chance, one defender late by a fraction of a second. That's enough.
Gyökeres, space! Oh, that's a brilliant goal!
Then came the move that announced him to the wider football world. At Sporting CP, Gyökeres didn't adapt slowly. He exploded. Goals arrived immediately. Big goals, decisive goals. The kind that turned tight matches into statements. Against deep blocks, he bullied defenders. Against high lines, he destroyed them with pace. In Europe, against stronger opposition, he didn't shrink. He thrived. His confidence grew with every finish, every roar from the crowd, every defender left chasing shadows. This wasn't a purple patch. This was a striker entering his prime with perfect timing. Premier League defenders watching from afar might think they've seen this before. Another physical striker, another powerful runner. But Gyökeres is different because of his mentality. He plays like someone who remembers every rejection, every loan spell, every doubt. There is urgency in his game. He doesn't coast, he doesn't disappear. Even when he's not scoring, he is working, pressing, pulling defenders wide, creating space for teammates. Managers love him because he changes the entire structure of a match. Opponents fear him because he forces them to adapt. In the Premier League, where defensive lines are high and transitions are ruthless, Gyökeres would thrive.
Gyökeres coming inside, he shoots and he scores!
His ability to attack space behind fullbacks would punish aggressive systems. His strength against center backs would expose teams that rely on playing out from the back. And his stamina would overwhelm defenders late in games when legs are heavy and minds are tired. This is where nightmares are born, not in the first 10 minutes, but in the 70th, the 80th, when Gyökeres is still sprinting like the match just began. There is also a psychological edge to his game. Defenders sense his confidence. They feel his presence. Every duel becomes a test of pride. And when he wins those duels, frustration grows. Yellow cards appear. Shape collapses. That's when space is open. That's when matches turn. Gyökeres doesn't just score goals. He breaks structure. He disrupts rhythm. He forces mistakes from experienced professionals who are not used to being physically dominated. This is why scouts talk about him in hushed tones, why managers study his movements obsessively.
It's tough for him because defenders are so tight on him and there's no space for him at all, but he's working so hard.
Why defenders would rather face a flashy winger than a relentless striker like this. Because flair can be unpredictable, but pressure applied constantly is inevitable. And Gyökeres applies pressure like few others in modern football. If he arrives in the Premier League, there will be debates. Can he do it on cold nights? Can he handle elite defenders? Can he adapt again? But those who have followed his journey know the answer. He has always adapted, always improved, always found a way. From Sweden to England, from loans to leadership, from overlooked to unavoidable. This is not a gamble. This is a warning. Viktor Gyökeres is not a striker defenders enjoy facing. He is the kind they talk about in the dressing room before kickoff, the kind they feel in their legs the next morning, the kind that changes how teams defend, how lines drop, how risks are calculated. And in a league where mistakes are punished instantly, a striker who thrives on chaos is the ultimate threat. Since his breakthrough into European elite football, Viktor Gyökeres hasn't just carried momentum. He has exploded onto the biggest stages like a force that refuses to be ignored. At Arsenal, his early months in the Premier League have already made headlines, with Gyökeres finding the back of the net with a regularity that silences doubters and sparks debates. In a thrilling North London derby against Tottenham Hotspur, he scored twice to help secure a commanding 4-1 victory, bringing his total to double figures in the league and crucially lifting Arsenal into a strong position in the title race. Performances that underscore both his impact and his fear-inducing unpredictability for defenders still trying to read his movements on English grass. Before his move to England, Gyökeres' time at Sporting CP was nothing short of historic. Across just 2 seasons in Lisbon, he scored 97 goals in 102 appearances, winning league titles and domestic cups, while overtaking club legends to become one of Sporting's most prolific forwards in history. He tormented big teams too, including a famous hat-trick against Manchester City in the UEFA Champions League, a match where his relentless pressing and instinctive finishing exposed a defense that many thought untouchable. Yet it hasn't all been smooth. Behind the scenes at Sporting, there were tensions, whispers of frustration between Gyökeres and the club hierarchy as disagreements over leaks about his knee surgery and transfer fee demands strained a relationship that had once looked unbreakable. That friction only fueled the narrative. Here was a striker desperate not just to score goals, but to escape the confines of expectations and make his mark on the world's biggest footballing stages. Even on the international front with Sweden, he proved he could shine under different pressures, finishing as the top scorer in the 2024/25 UEFA Nations League, outpacing players many times his more celebrated peers. And when form dipped or he faced skeptics, as critics questioned whether his goals came against weaker defenses, Gyökeres answered not with words but with goals and performances that shifted narratives. In every league, every cup final, every high-stakes match where defenders thought they had figured him out, he found ways to adapt, to evolve, and most importantly, to strike. That blend of statistics and psychology, the cold hard numbers alongside the emotional impact he has on both teammates and opponents, makes Viktor Gyökeres not just a prolific goal scorer, but a living nightmare for defenders who must face him again and again. So when the question is asked, why Viktor Gyökeres is a nightmare for Premier League defenders, the answer is simple. Because he doesn't stop. Because he doesn't fade. Because he doesn't need perfection to destroy you. He only needs effort, belief, and one moment. And when that moment comes, the nightmare begins.